So 1,000,002 experts are going to try and tell you how to write a blog post or how to write an SEO blog post and share all their tips and tricks and all the things and tell you this is how you're going to get in Google. But if you are a service provider, a creative business owner, or a podcaster who needs something more than just a post that ranks, this is the video for you. Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm an SEO strategist and blog content writer, and I help business owners like you rank, get clicks, and convert on search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo, and yes, even ChatGPT. And today I'm going to be teaching you the 4 core steps to not only write a blog post that ranks, but also a blog post that converts to clients and sales. And bonus, it's not going to take you 5 hours. In fact, you should be able to wrap up a blog post in about an hour, maybe 2 max, because ain't nobody got time for that. So there is a lot of nuance when it comes to blogging, which is why we boil it down into these 4 core steps. You have your prep, you have your plan, you write, and then you publish. Let's get into the first step, prepping. So your prep phase is when you get the main idea for your blog post. I don't want to call it planning because you're not quite there yet, but this is when you're going to find your keyword. You're going to pick out your blog post title. You're going to determine why you're writing this, what you're going to write, what the purpose is, and what offer, product, freebie you're going to promote at the end of it or even inside of it. This step alone can increase your conversions. When you start writing posts that your audience is actually searching for, that your audience actually wants to read, they're more likely to read it and engage with it. Next is the planning. So this would be a brain dump, your outline. This is when you map out your structure and cover key elements like your H1, your introduction, your H2s, and even your H3s if you have them. So you're going to map out the bones of your blog post. While there's no perfect way to outline or brain dump, you do want to follow the same structure, as this does determine how Google and honestly readers determine the important bits and pieces of your blog post. So it determines the hierarchy of the information within your blog post. That is the purpose of headers, is also the HTML piece. So when an AI engine pulls information, it's not looking at your user behavior like Google or Bing would. It's looking mostly at your HTML. And so that makes a huge difference in how you're going to show up on these different platforms, and if you're even going to show up on these different platforms. Now, I don't even write a full outline, and I do this for a living. When you are planning your post, your brain dump could be bullet points. It could be little notes to yourself. Sometimes I just write a section, I'm like, a blurb about XYZ, because it's truly just to guide your brain when you get into the writing to know, I want to include this here, I want to include this there, I don't want to talk about this, or this is a key element, this is an important note. Just so you're not going in blind. Now, if you're working with like a podcast or a YouTube video, because repurposing is key, you can copy the sections of your transcript, pull it into your outline or the bones of your post. That way you have the correlating information, but make sure that you are formatting it as an actual blog post before you hit publish, because you do not want to publish those raw transcript pieces. Even tidying them up a little bit does not make a huge difference. You want to make sure you're truly bringing it into that blog post format. After you plan in your prep, you're to phase 3, which is the time to write, which is probably why you're here. But honestly, writing is the least complicated part. There are a lot of things to consider. There are 2 main mistakes that I see when it comes to writing an SEO blog post. Mistake number 1 is not giving enough information. Mistake number 2 is giving too much information. Both are detrimental to a really, really good ranking and converting blog post. So let's talk about number 1, not giving enough information. So even if you get into rankings, you're not going to convert and you're not going to stay there, because Google and other search engines want content that solves what their users is searching. They want users to find the answer, because when their users find the answer to whatever they're searching, whether it's a recipe, a how-to tutorial, or how to repair the plumbing in their bathroom, they come back to the search engine because they see that the search engine works. So when they have a good experience on Google, they come back to Google. The same goes for Bing, Yahoo, so on and so forth. And that carries into their experience on your website. So if a search engine ranks your post and someone lands on that post, but then they can't find what they're looking for, they're going to head back to the search engine. And if they do that enough times, they're not going to use that search engine because it's not working for them, which means that if Google or search engines see that people are landing on your post and leaving, they're going to move you out of those search results because they want people to have a good experience. So you can't hide the answer. You can't skirt around what you're trying to provide. You have to give your users the answer. If you don't want to give out that information, don't write that blog post. Now, the second issue is giving too much. And it's not because they don't want to know that information. I'm sure they do. It's more about how people are engaging on your website. And giving a lot of information all at once can be more confusing than clarifying and lead people to have more questions than answers. So they end up on your blog post, they're trying to read what they came here for, and they may even find it, and then they get all this other information, which leaves them confused. And confused people cannot make decisions. They're going to go back to wherever they were. They may feel overwhelmed and just stop what they're doing and just say, I can't do this. I can't process it. Or they're too confused to make the decision. They don't know if they want to buy the product, if they want to outsource to you, if they want to just ditch this section of their business, of their life altogether, because this just feels too overwhelming. Overall, it's just too much for us to comprehend. And this happens all the time in life. And so yes, you do want to be helpful and answer the question and give information that is relevant to that answer, but don't go too above and beyond. It can end up actually hurting you, because when people don't engage and they're not getting what they need from your post and continuing their search or just ditching altogether, you're not going to rank, and you're definitely not going to convert. A really, really good tip for this one is to follow adult learning best practices. It sounds a little nerdy, but it does make a huge difference on just making your blog consumable for readers and good for humans, not just for bots and search engines. And last but not least is the publishing part of writing a blog post. This is the little SEO details we love to forget about. And honestly, they have a lot of weight. We got to treat Google like our socially awkward bestie. Yes, it is supporting and it gives you what you need, but it also can miss a lot of context clues. So we have to very much be very obvious and what we are trying to tell Google our blog post is about, or providing the answer so that Google knows, like, hey, this is the answer. It's literally right here to serve your blog post to the searchers on their platform. So for this, you're going to go through a little checklist. You're going to say, do you have an optimized page title? Do you have an optimized meta description? Did you clean up your URL? Do your images have all image descriptions? Are you linking to other pages on your website? So that's internal linking, very important. And is your post under a relevant category? Like, is it under the umbrella on your site that shows, okay, this is what this topic belongs under, because that can make a difference as well. This is not comprehensive by any means, but this is a really, really good place to start when you're checking off your to-do list before you hit publish. And yes, even this bit of information can feel overwhelming because there are so many moving parts. But honestly, the best thing about blogging, it is so flexible. It's flexible and forgiving as long as you are not like breaking the rules and following black hat SEO tips and, out there getting penalized. But if you were just a regular everyday blogger or business owner and you've put a few posts out there and you are trying your best, it is very forgiving. You can always go back and update. You can always go back and re-optimize. You can always adjust your keyword so that you can have better ranking. You can gather that data and then make decisions based on the data from like Google Search Console or Bing Webmaster. So you have the opportunity to improve the blog post you do. So don't get too stressed. Pull it together. Do your best in the beginning. And then if you have to come back and update it later, you can. And then once you get this process down, blogging will be so much easier. It will take you 30 to 60 minutes. So that's half an hour to an hour blogging, pulling together a blog post versus 4 to 5 hours. And it will still get you results. It will still rank and it will still convert. And if you want to make sure you're not skipping steps next time you go to write a blog post or the first time you go to write a blog post, grab my free SEO blog post checklist. It's down in the description and it's going to break it down into 3 easy pieces of before you write, when you write, and after you write. So it combines that prep and plan, but then it breaks it down very similar as we talked to this video today. And it's a great resource just to reference every time you go to do a blog post. And once you get into that habit, it makes such a difference. I promise. Now, don't forget to check out my other videos. I have lots of strong feelings about using AI for blogging and what blogging can do for your business. So check those out. But until next time, bye.